ISIS again advancing in Iraq despite months of U.S.-led coalition airstrikes. Some new reports say the terrorists launched an attack on Iraq's largest oil refinery, and this comes amid calls for help from Iraq's prime minister, saying his country urgently needs more airstrikes, more weapons, and more training from the international community. Support, he says, will help his country defeat ISIS once and for all.
Our guest served his country proudly, rising to the rank of colonel in the U.S. Army, serving as the senior anti-terrorism force protection officer for all coalition forces in Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom 1 and 2. 3 Pentagon tours of duty. It's a pleasure to welcome Colonel Wesley Martin to MidPoint. Colonel, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Colonel, I wanted to get your immediate reaction to what is happening now in Washington, because earlier today we were told that the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee had agreed on a 52-day review period for the Iranian nuclear bill. Now we just get word that the White House says the president would be willing to sign the current version of the compromise on Iran that is being discussed in the U.S. Senate. It deals with a lot of time that we're sitting here waiting, a review period of 30 days, an additional 12 days for a possible veto, 10 days for a possible veto override vote. In your opinion, is this a good thing? Is this what needs to be done?
The Congress needs to go through this and put some stability into it. Unfortunately, the administration that we have right now does not thoroughly understand Middle East situation and politics. Everywhere you look, it's been a disaster. Whether it was supporting Morsi in his genocide, or whether it was supporting Nouri al-Maliki or trying to make deals with the Iranian regime. It's been a complete disaster. I would feel much more comfortable if men like John McCain and Bob Menendez were able to take a look and examine this and make sure it is sound. This administration has not missed a chance to make a mistake.
Is this just another stalling tactic then by the White House, in your opinion, with all of these different vetoes, overrides, and possible, again, delays?
I can see the White House doing it, but more so, it plays into the hand of the Iranian regime. Rouhani brags about how, during the Clinton administration, he prolonged the talks and continued the nuclear weapons program. Now, he wants to prolong the talks not only to continue with his programs, but he's tied down several nations to the conference table while his Quds Force commander, General Soleimani, runs all over the place, starting up trouble in Yemen, starting up death squads in Iraq, supporting Assad in Syria. It's a never-ending story, and this administration just plays right into his hands.
What you wrote recently is that the Shiite militias in Iraq are getting their directions now from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Quds Force. What is it then that the White House is missing? Because if you can see it and others can see it, that Iran has got a hand in this, what then are they not getting? How are they so naive then, in your opinion?
That's a great question, because over a year ago, I was addressing the fact that General Soleimani and the Quds Force was in fact in Iraq, and Josh Earnest is totally denying it. And what was really disappointing is over at the Pentagon, John Kirby was denying it. And I had real problems with John Kirby because in the military, we operate on the principles of duty on the country. So when I've got reports and photographs coming in from Iraq that Soleimani and the Quds Force are very operational, I don't expect to see the Pentagon spokesman denying it. I do expect to see the White House spokesman denying it, because that's what they do. And it's interesting, after Maliki was thrown from power, and basically he was thrown from power by the Iraqi people, because Obama was supporting him for a third illegal term against the Constitution. And then a few months after he's out of power, Josh Earnest comes out and says, and Maliki's removal was long overdue.
All right,
it wasn't overdue.
I got about 30, 45 seconds left here. I did want to get your comment, too, on the Iraqi Prime Minister is in Washington wanting billions of dollars of loans of international assistance, and also, we'll pay you back later at another time. This seems to just smack as an insult.
Well, it's going to smack as an insult, but also they have been using American training and American weapons to conduct genocide, not only on the Iraqi people, but on the Iranian resistance that's trapped inside. And by law, when you have the evidence that they've been doing this, then they do not get more money, they do not get more weapons, and State Department denies that it happened. And I've got my own investigative report here that I did, 220 pages long, exposing the mass murder of 52 people by Maliki's forces at Camp Ashraf.
Colonel Wesley Martin, we're going to have to deal with that another day, but we do need to dig into that again. My thanks. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, sir.
All right. If Marco Rubio wants to become president, he needs a close relationship with one group of voters. We'll talk about that when we continue.